Hi everyone, and welcome to our video tutorial today where we're going to take a look at how you can manage or complete rate overrides within your enterprise system. If at any point you're needing to bulk update your pricing over some specific days, or you would like to take a couple of nights availability offline from your websites or even from your front desk staff, you have the ability to do this by utilizing a rate override. Now this is great because it won't alter the core of your rates. It will just simply change or override what you have set on the specific date range that you advise. To complete an override within your enterprise system, you'll need to head to your menu search in the top left and locate your rates chart. Once you click into here, you will then need to filter which properties you would like to make this change for. Within your filter options here, you'll have various options to specify which properties. I have a filter called state, which allows me to filter essentially by states that we have within Australia and where my properties are located within each one. So if I would like to locate some Queensland properties, I can select that state and then it will show me which properties fall under that particular filter. If I'd like to view all, I can toggle all. Otherwise, I can specify which particular ones I would like to view. Once I've selected those, I will then be able to search, and you'll see it brings up my two properties. However, I have no rates or categories of accommodation displaying yet. That is due to you needing to specify which styles of accommodation you would like to adjust. As an example, within my categories section, I would like to select what style of accommodation at Cairns I would like to adjust, and then also which style of accommodation I would like to adjust within my Noosa property. Once selected, I can then also specify which rate types I would like to adjust or override. I'm going to select my standard today, and then all I need to do is reload the chart. You'll notice it then displays my base rates for my deluxe cabins and the standard price that I have available. We can see the dates that I have, and also underneath you'll notice that there are 3 nights that have a stop sign indicating that a stop sell is active. Now a stop sell is a great way to take something offline, especially if you have some sort of emergency, if there is terrible weather and you would like to prevent staff or guests booking online. That can be a great override option to use. Alternatively, we can do other overrides like price changes or increasing minimum night stays and so on and so forth. So underneath that, we can then see Noosa and the base rates for Noosa for their pull-through sites and the standard price here. So if I would like to adjust the weekend pricing on the Friday and Saturday here for both styles of accommodation, I'm actually able to do that by doing an override via the Add New button in the top right corner. Again, this will only change those 2 dates. It will not change the actual rate that I have fundamentally got set up within the system. It's just forcing a change over those 2 days. So if I select Rate Override, you'll notice it does allow you to filter additionally in the top here if we need to include other properties. However, it will keep those settings based on what I'd pre-filled on the rates chart. I then need to select within here that I would like to adjust the dates from the Friday the 29th, and I would also like to include the 30th. On the right, I then need to specify what style of accommodation for each one and what rate type. So essentially following what I'd already selected on that previous page. Underneath, we then have our booking channels. Now, this is important as this is dictating where we want this override to apply against. Now, in the system, we have an option called base rates. So if you have never done an override in your system before, and let's say you have your standard rate available for your staff to book, you also maybe connect that to your direct Newbook online page and potentially connect that through to online travel agents such as booking.com. If we wanted to ensure that this change feeds through to all of those platforms, we can simply leave base rates selected and this adjustment or override will push out to all of them. Within here, if you only want to apply an override to a specific website, such as your direct Newbook online page or booking.com, you can remove base and then select the actual channel here. Please note, if you do try to attempt another override on the same dates and then only select base, you will receive a warning advising there is another separate override in place for that channel. And if you would like to enforce that this new override goes out to that specific channel, you will need to include both in this section here to ensure that gets sent out and overridden to that channel as well. For today's scenario, we're just going to make an adjustment for our base rates and override everything that is receiving our standard price. If we move down to the center of the screen here, if we were wishing to do a stop sell to take things offline, we would simply change this to yes. However, if we're wanting to make an adjustment to do with pricing, we would head to the daily pricing override tab below. As I have two separate styles of accommodation, both of which have completely different pricing, I'm still able to do a bulk update or override to these different styles of accommodation and increase the pricing. I can do that by specifying how I would like to do my override or what type of override I'd like to enforce. In this scenario, I'd like to increase whatever the current rates are by a percentage value. So today I'm going to increase my rates by 20% and ensuring you have the percentage method set to increase. Alternatively, if you're wanting to reduce the pricing, you could decrease it. All I then need to do is then select save, and that's going to take us back to our rates chart where we can clearly see that our pricing has been overridden on those days. If I scroll down within my rate chart settings, I can also have a look at the booking channels to ensure that that rate override has actually been pushed through to those other channels such as booking.com or again my Newbook online booking page. To do this, we can simply click into the booking channel section, select the channel. Once we've done this, we can then reload the chart. As you can see, if we have a look on our rates chart again, it has now loaded our properties and we have two separate areas now stating base rates where we can see our standard deluxe for our Newbook Cairns resort. We can see the stop sell available on these dates and also the price override that has been adjusted on the 29th and 30th. And we can also see that directly underneath, Newbook Online is matching exactly what we overrode on our base rates. So we know that that has successfully sent through to our website. If for any reason I would now like to put my rates back to what the original price was on the 29th and 30th for both of my styles of accommodation, I can do the same by completing another rate override. So heading to add new in the top right, that will filter the information through in the top based on what I've had preloaded on my chart. I can select the dates again, select my categories of accommodation, select my rate types, and moving down into my pricing overrides, what I can do is override it back to the original rate that was in place. And once I save this, it will then reload the chart where we can see that it's created those rate overrides successfully, and you can clearly see that our deluxe cabins on the 29th and 30th have gone back to the $250 value that they were previously. The bold text that you see there is always indicating that an override has been completed over those dates. So it's an indication that something has been adjusted at some point by a user. If we scroll down, we can also see that the Noosa Resort has also had its rates adjusted back to the normal price that they were before. And again, they also have the bold text. And we can also see Noosa displaying the base rates and Newbook Online, and everything is flowing through nicely. So we know both our staff, when they're making bookings over the phone and when guests are booking on our website, they're all receiving the exact same pricing information. If at any point you'd also like to adjust the minimum or maximum night stays that are allowed to be booked over a particular date range, this can also be done by utilizing the rate override feature. So we can head to add new rate override, select our dates, select our categories, select our rate types. Now with this scenario, I'm going to show you how we can enforce a minimum night stay, but only to our direct website. To do this, we can remove base rates, click back in, and then select Newbook Online. When it comes to adjusting minimum night stays, we then head down to our other daily override tab, and that's where we see our minimum and maximum night stay settings. To override, you simply select specify value and then adjust within here. Once we save, we'll be able to see that it takes us back to our rates chart where those overrides have been successfully created. You'll also notice that this time my base rates for my deluxe cabins have not been adjusted. However, you can notice that my Newbook online, so my direct booking website, has a bold text listed against it over those evenings. When I hover, it is telling me that there is a minimum night stay of 3 nights in place. If I head to the night before, where it's not in the bold, we can see the original minimum night stay is 1 night. If we scroll further down, we can also see that our Noosa resort has also had the exact same override implemented just on the online side. The rates chart as well, if you do want to display the minimum night stays without the need to hover to view that, you can select display minimum night stays by changing to yes and reloading the chart. That will then display an extra line underneath each rate to clearly indicate the minimum night stays that are in place. The last override I'd like to show you is how we can implement one of these stop sells, which is great for taking things offline last minute if you need to stop selling any availability on your websites or you want to prevent bookings being placed online. It can also be used to prevent your staff from making bookings for any reasons. So it's great for any last minute emergencies, or even if you're just wanting to potentially stop selling to your third-party websites and drive bookings direct through to your website or over the phone. So heading to add new rate override, I'm going to select my date. So we'll pop forward from the 10th of October for a week. We can select our categories, select our rate types. Now with this, I'm going to leave it on base rates, and that will override anyone that is receiving my standard rate currently for these 2 styles of accommodation. Again, if there are any other separate overrides that have been put in place, you will receive a warning message simply advising which channel or website has its own override against it. And all you would need to do to enforce that this override pushes out to that channel is include it in here. Otherwise, if we're doing a stop sell, we simply head to stop sell, change that to yes, and then save. Our rates chart is then going to reload. And if I jump forward on my calendar here to the 10th of October, we're going to clearly see that both properties now have a stop sign across these evenings for both styles of accommodation and for our Newbook online website as well. That does bring us to the end of our video tutorial today. If you do require any further assistance on this feature, remember to click into the question mark icon in the top right corner, which will open our knowledge base and display any recommended articles relating to the page that you're viewing.